Hey friends, Grant here from Subset Studio Co. Right out of the gate here, I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. There aren't many of you yet, about 38 of you, but just wanted to say that I appreciate the support nonetheless. And for anyone who maybe isn't subscribed to the channel, but perhaps comes and checks in on the channel to see what I'm doing from time to time, appreciate you too. Thanks. Alright, so whether you have or you haven't watched any of my previous videos, something that I've been frustrated by is the fact that I have yet to be able to produce something to sell, at least in the way that I'd envisioned it. I was lucky enough that when I first started Subset Studio Co., that I had a neighbor who liked the railing that I did for the steps in front of our house and wanted a similar railing in her house, so that was a paid job, got a little money coming in, and it turned into this sort of 3-phase project. And then after that was completed, she also wanted a metal bench. So I wasn't without some kind of revenue coming in to the company, but the idea that I always had in mind was that I would build product, sell product online. And in the 6 months that I've been working on this little side hustle of mine, I still have yet to achieve that. And that brings us to this video that you're watching now. What you're seeing me do here is milling some boards down in preparation for a panel glow up. 2 of them, as a matter of fact. You see, I have 2 frames for coffee tables ready to go. They're all built, primed and painted, finished as far as the metalwork goes, but they need tabletops. Now I have obviously done this before, but only a handful of times, and when I've done it, they've been for personal projects around the house. A couple of my early videos, the coffee table build and the hall tree build, those pieces are in my home and came from necessity. We needed a coffee table, so I built a coffee table, and we needed something for our entryway, so I built the hall tree. And I undertook these projects with the idea of Subset Studio Co. percolating in the back of my brain. In other words, they sort of served as proof of concept. To see if I was capable, never having produced a single piece of furniture before in my life, if I was able to build something that I would feel comfortable selling to another person. And what I found was that I was about 90% there. And that last 10% that was missing had to do with the finished quality of the wood. More specifically, every time I've done a panel glue up, I'm left with some slight unevenness between boards. And as a bit of foreshadowing, until now, for every panel that I've glued together that is slightly uneven, I've tried to flatten that out using the orbital sander. And like I said, for the personal projects around the house, it's worked out fine. However, the details lie in that 10%. And in that 10% are some aggressive sanding marks, some obvious scratches, some chip outs. Matter of fact, I did a whole video where on one of these attempts at a tabletop, I tried to fix what I thought was a dent, ended up being a gouge with the old wet cloth and iron trick. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. I just ended up ruining a tabletop in a very weird way, actually. And I still don't quite understand what happened there. If you're interested, you can go back and check that one out. But anyway, I guess the point that I'm trying to make with all of this jabbering is that the conclusion that I've come to is that maybe a random orbital sander is not the best method to flatten out panels. I know, it's a shocker. 6 months of doing this, and I'm just now figuring this out. Thing is, I don't have and cannot afford anything like a CNC or a wide belt sander, so I have to go find one. And I did find one. Found a flattening service a little north of Pittsburgh, and man, does it make this part of the process a whole lot easier. And the panels that you've seen me working on over the course of this video are the second and third that I brought out to this service. And with this final piece of the puzzle taken care of, I think I'm finally starting to close the gap on that last 10%. So yeah, stay tuned. I'm excited to see if these are the pieces, if I'm finally going to get something up for sale. But anyway, I think that's enough for voiceover me. I think video me might have something to say that's probably completely unrelated to what I've been talking about in this VO, but as always, thanks for watching. I'll see ya. All right, so I got my 2 glue ups done. One I was able to keep at around 7/8 of an inch. This one's about 13/16, which all in all, I think is pretty good. You know, I don't consider myself a woodworker at all, but I do feel like I'm getting a little bit better at this process of milling my lumber down to get my boards and gluing them up to get my panels. I still got just a little hair of unevenness, but that shouldn't be a problem when it comes time to sand. So overall, I'm pretty pleased with this, and hopefully I will get these couple of tables done here in the next couple of days, and we'll finally be able to sell some stuff, or at least try to. Thanks.